Hi, this is Brandon Smiley from thirstgym.com. Today we're going to talk about how to properly do a glute ham raise. The glute ham raise is arguably one of the best exercises you can do for the glutes and hamstrings, especially for athletic performance or powerlifting. What makes the glute ham raise unique is the fact that the hamstring is going to have to work at the knee and the hip joint simultaneously. General hamstring work neglects that fact. So if you're looking at RDL, the hamstring's working hard at the hip joint. If you're performing a leg curl, it's working hard at the knee joint. With the glute ham raise, because the knee is able to drop below the pad or is on the pad, you know, the quad is up here against the pad, what that's going to allow the exercise to do is to be able to allow the knee to bend while also performing and holding hip extension. So when you're doing a glute ham raise, you're basically doing exactly what it says. You're doing a glute and hamstring exercise that's going to raise your body. These are very, very challenging. When I have athletes or coaches come and tell me, my kid can do 20 glute ham raise, I know they're a liar because I can barely do them. And at a 145 pounds and elite level powerlifter, I've done glute ham raises for almost 10 years now. And knowing what 20 glute ham raises feels like, I highly doubt that there's a 14-year-old stud doing 20 glute ham raises. I'm sure there's some out there, but I hear about them way too frequently for me to believe them, especially when I work with kids on a daily basis. And we've had a couple kids in our tenure here that are able to perform glute ham raises as an actual prescribed exercise done correctly. That doesn't mean we don't use them for eccentrics and things like that, but usually when we're programming good old-fashioned glute ham raises, very rarely are you going to see kids knock these out for an insane amount of reps. So, the glute ham raise here, I've got the back part moved up so that where my knees are going to be on the pad, they're going to be in a good solid position, okay? So, what we need to emphasize here is that as my knees are on the pad, we want to make sure that we're not too far below and we're not too far on top. So the common issue we see when people are doing glute ham raises is they're looking like this. So they're going to be here and they're doing this kind of thing. Or then when they go down, their knees drop far below and they don't go all the way down, and it's basically just becoming some kind of machine like this. Okay, they're not really getting anything out of that. Okay, the glute ham raise is to be set up so your knees are not on top of the pad, but towards the back, like third of it. So I'm here, my kneecap is physically not on the pad. It's like my upper quad right here. Okay, so what's nice is that's gonna be able to let me get my legs completely straight out in front of me, and at the same time, when I get out there, then I'm performing a good hard, basically Nordic hamstring curl or very similar to it, and come back. So I like to coach it first, starting off with the hands by the sides. My toes are dug into the foot plate here. I'm going to go down until I get into a straight line. So I'm going to go down, 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 down here. This is my finished position, okay? It's not down here, okay? This is a back extension. We're doing a glute ham raise. So we're going to come down, back, stop, pull. Notice that my body moves as a complete unit. So I'm going to come down, my knees are going to be completely straight. That's a huge important piece of this. And then you're going to curl back up. Okay? The other common thing you'll see is maybe the kid or athlete can get down flat and straight. The eccentric looks strong. But when they go to come up, they're going to break at the hips badly, shove that butt back. We're going to break that chain being straight from knee, hip, shoulder, head, to where our butt is sticking out really hard. So basically that's telling me that my athlete has a weak ass, okay? They have a weak butt, weak glutes. So what we're gonna do when that happens, you're gonna cue them to keep their chin tucked too, so they don't crank their extension. So we're gonna be here. What they do is that thing, okay? It's almost a razor curl. Again, could be a good way to teach it, but most kids are not doing it the way you're wanting to do it. So you're going to keep everything good and straight, pull hard. The other thing you'll see is overextension. So they're going to come up, they're going to really extend through everything. So they're going to come down here. You'll see that too, okay? So how would we potentially remedy this? The first one is build up your athlete's glutes and hamstrings. Tons of RDLs, leg curl sliders, stability leg curls, inverse curls, you've got them, glute ham raises, back extensions, anything that's going to build up their butt and hamstrings that will eventually help them do a glute ham raise. The other thing you can do is you can do a back extension off the glute ham raise to help build the hamstring glute strength at the hip, while also having them on the apparatus so they can feel how the mechanics work. Because a lot of athletes are only freaked out about when they go to come down that they're going to eat it, okay? They're going to be completely fine. I've not had anybody eat it on a glute ham raise or a back extension off this, but that's also a big fear for a lot of athletes and clients. The other thing I would recommend is, if you can find an inverse curl, or you have an inverse curl, use the inverse curl to help build up the glute ham raise. The inverse curl will always be inherently harder than the glute ham raise. And the reason for that is the fact that they are not the same exercise, okay? A glute ham raise is not equivalent to an inverse curl. There are similarities, there's some huge benefits, but the glute ham raise is gonna be easier than an inverse curl. And if you don't believe me, I just did 3 reps of this with no assistance, but if you take me over the inverse curl with no assistance, I'm gonna eat it, and my face is gonna probably hit the ground. So don't tell me that the biomechanics are the same, because they're not. The big thing to notice here is the fact that the knee can slide down. When the knee slides down and where I have my point of contact on here is my upper quad, versus on the inverse curl, it's more down towards my kneecap, and it's also gonna be sitting on top, so we're gonna have a longer lever arm, okay? So you're shortening up the lever arm, and you're changing some of those mechanics, making this easier. I think that's about all I've got. I think this, like I said, I think it's a great exercise. Usually when we program it for most of our kids, we're just giving them max reps, or we're gonna build them in with some eccentrics, where they've got a good 5 to 6 second eccentric down. We give them a pole or a rod to be able to help themselves back up, and then they go back down. They will usually tell you that it's very hard. They feel like their hamstrings are gonna rip off, and that can really help you build some strong hamstrings, especially eccentrically, but it can also help them learn to do their first glute ham raise. If you have athletes that are able to perform glute ham raise, max reps is just a good thing to go for, just like with your good old-fashioned pull-ups and chin-ups. It's such a hard exercise that usually keeping track of your max amount of reps for a certain number of sets is a way to tell if you're making progress. So obviously there's other variations where you can weight them and add bands and use med balls and things like that, but you know, for the average person, the average client, the average athlete, just being able to do bodyweight glute ham raises alone correctly is a huge milestone, and definitely an indication of a very strong, probably posterior chain strong athlete that's probably going to excel well on the field or court. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thanks. Have a great day.